Four-time world champions in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala, of course, deserve every bit of credit for building up the dynasty and keeping it going into the 20s decade. Under-talked about is the new wave of young phenoms, which President Bob Meyers has drafted on the fly, which make it clear the Warriors have much more planned after yet another parade. Here's why a flurry of explosive up-and-comers will make the Dubs completely horrifying for opponents well into the future. Right before that, just 13.9% of you watching right now are subscribed, so if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a single upload. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at dflowhoops. That's at dflowhoops for both platforms. Very few groups could have bounced back from what the Warriors would go through after Durant's departure and winning just 15 games in 2019-20 season. Luckily, right before that dreadful campaign, Bob Meyers had his final late-round steal of the 2010s decade up his sleeve as he robbed Jordan Poole with pick number 28 back in 2019's draft. In another act of rebuilding on the fly with Steph and Klay both out for the 2019-20 season with injuries, the Warriors got another gift from Minnesota, this time acquiring a man labeled as a first overall draft bust in Andrew Wiggins, giving up D'Angelo Russell, and getting back a first-round pick as well that turned out to be Jonathan Kuminga. The 2020 deadline deal to acquire Wiggins, the second overall selection of James Wiseman, Jordan Poole's development as a sophomore, and of course Curry's return, improved the Warriors to the point where they made the play-in. Meyers then drafted two athletic phenoms in the lottery in Kuminga along with Moses Moody. The season following, while very few were picking the Warriors to be championship contenders, further internal development from Poole and Wiggins, free agency signings in Otto Porter Jr. and Nemanja Bjelica, plus Klay Thompson making his infamous return to put the big three of he, Steph, and Dre back intact, ultimately allowed the Dubs to shock the basketball universe and return to the promised land yet again. After securing the franchise's fourth chip, Hoops fans in the Bay Area evidently have a lot more in store for them, considering Poole, Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman are all 22 years or under, proving they're the definition of a team that's been built, not bought. The 2022 Warriors are the first NBA champions in 44 years to draft 8 of their current players. Back in January, Steph spoke about his 5-year dream for the Dubs, which was Poole becoming an All-Star, Kuminga being an All-Defensive Team player, and Wiseman becoming an MVP candidate. That last bit of belief Steph showed in James Wiseman speaks volumes. Speaking of Steph, more Curry content is going to be posted throughout this offseason, and I made several vids specifically on the MVP throughout the finals. With that said, a player who deserves more respect given he averaged 18.3 points, 8.8 rebounds, plus both 1.5 steals and blocks per game during 2022's finals is Andrew Wiggins, developing into the Warriors' second option on both ends of the court, and proving takes like these from Nick Wright to be horribly wrong.
Wiggins is a bad basketball player. It's unspeakable they did this. We will never see Steph in another NBA Finals, ever. They have no path forward.
That unbelievable disrespect acted as motivation for Wiggins. He locked in and worked his ass off because of takes like that. And as we saw, the man can now call himself a champion. Warriors fans should be sending Christmas cards to Nick Wrong, in addition to the Minnesota Timberwolves front office, for motivating the hard-nosed Canadian Andrew Wiggins. Many wrote him off as a bust, but revenge stories like Andrew's are always the best to talk about. Wiggs proved why he was taken number 1 overall back in 2014, as with his perimeter scoring and defense, at times he resembles Kawhi Leonard. But the best part about Andrew is the much-needed poise and maturity level he provided to this Warrior team. Statements like the one you're about to see, where Andrew shines light on the young talent in this system, speak to his humbleness after having won it all. Quote, "As good as we were this year, I feel like next year we're going to be even better. You know, we still have the older guys, the young guys are only going to get better. JK, I'm expecting him to take a huge jump this summer. Moses, Wiseman's going to be back, so our young guys, they're going to make us a lot better." End quote. Another video on Wiggins will definitely be uploaded in the future, as it's crucial we evaluate how Air Canada developed this past season by going into the film room. You can't forget, Andrew's only entering the prime of his career at age 27, so for next video's shoutout, the question is, Have we seen the ceiling of Andrew Wiggins yet? Ona Ebo-Daga is today's Community Speaks winner, who says, I think the Celtics should first look to address their size in the front court by looking in the veteran free agent market. Guys like Jeff Green or Thad Young could provide great minutes at the 4 for this team next to Horford, Tice, or Williams. The Schroeder experiment didn't work out this season for Boston, but it wouldn't hurt to find a playmaking lead guard in free agency to take some pressure off Tatum and Brown to score. It would also help the DPOY Marcus Smart, who had to focus on facilitating a lot more than in years prior. Ricky Rubio could be a name to watch out for, though he is coming off a torn ACL. Great take from Ona. But the top 5 summer giveaway winners of free NBA merchandise for my comments giveaway, aka Community Speaks, are Thierry, Kent Saludo, Boston Haltane, and Irvin Alexar Guerra. Thanks to those 5 for the passionate, in-depth takes on a daily basis. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Appreciate you more than you know, and trust me, while it might not be on a daily basis during this entire offseason, I've got a ton of bangers for you as we approach the 22-23 NBA campaign, so stay posted. D-Flow signing off.